Imagine why. So anyway, we're going to get started soon. Walking up here is Stephen Kiger, and I'm going to. He said I didn't need to introduce him, but he's a good man, so I'm going to. Stephen Kiger is the club president. A round of applause for Steve.
Thanks, Robert. We'll get back to you in just a minute. Well, good evening and welcome to the 27th Annual Rotary Community Toast and Benefit. I'm Stephen Kiger, as Robert has already said, current president of the Rotary Club of New Albany, where we've been connecting with the community and with our world for over 115 years. Whether you're joining us tonight for the very first time or for the 27th time, hard to believe it's been that many years, we're thrilled that you could participate this evening as we shine a spotlight on a remarkable community leader who, like our other 26 honorees, truly embodies Rotary's international motto of service above self. I want to begin by thanking our presenting sponsor this year, Paradigm Concrete Design, represented here tonight by Chad and Kathleen Parrott. We're honored to have you folks with us and for your support. Yes, give them a hand. Thanks so much, guys. Our Rotary Club sponsors an Interact Club at Floyd Central High School, and we're excited that we also have guests from that club there tonight, and they're over on the other end. Stand up and give everybody so you can see who you are, guys. Great group of kids doing a great job. We have clubs in high schools and on college campuses who help us really to introduce the next generation of leaders to the high ideals of Rotary and encourages them to plan their own service projects. The New Albany Rotary Club gives and serves locally as well as internationally. Each Rotarian has a hand in improving the lives of people that we will likely never get to meet. We're also about the business of promoting peace and goodwill around the world. For us, it begins and ends with service. And that's why tonight we are so glad to be honoring Dr. Dan Eichenberger, a man who sets a high bar of example for service in our community. There are past honorees that you may see around the room. If they have a little red ribbon on them, you'll know that they are a member of the family of someone who's been honored here in the past. So thank you all for being a part of this remarkable evening. We're glad you're here. Your support will be felt locally and internationally as Rotary works to make the world just a better place for everyone. And now, get back to Robert. I am so delighted to introduce our MC for the evening, Robert Eichenberger. Robert is the fourth of Phyllis and Jack Eichenberger's 6 children, and therefore is one of Dan's younger brothers. Robert has been married to Cindy for 26 years, and together they have 3 awesome sons, Jared, 23, Lucas, 20, and Alex, who's 15. Robert received a BS in Civil Engineering with distinction from Purdue University in 1994, and then a law degree from U of L Law School in 1998. He's a registered patent attorney and is the chair of the Intellectual Property Group at the law firm of Middleton Reitlinger in Louisville, one of the largest patent law groups in the Midwest. When he's not doing home improvement projects, building furniture in his workshop, or taking care of the farm along with Cindy and the boys, complete with goats and a llama as well. Kind of an unusual mixture, but Robert is perhaps more famously seen around the popular venues playing keyboards in his band, 100% Polly. Won't you join me in welcoming our MC for the evening, Robert Eichenberger. Robert, come on up.
Thank you very much, Steve. I told Dan I was probably going to go ahead and just wear my 100% Poly wig for tonight. I thought that would be fitting. And Cindy told me not to, so. I am very, very honored to be here to MC this event that sheds light on the accomplishments of and contributions of one of our community's best servants, Dr. Dan Eichenberger, who happens to be my brother. So at this stage, it's about 12 seconds in, and I'm already off script. So I am the MC for tonight, so welcome, everybody. Yes, thank you for coming. And as MC, I'm told that my only role is really to introduce speakers and make sure that the night goes according to plan on time. And so I didn't really have a really chance to do a lot of remarks. However, Dan called me specifically and said, Robert, I want people to have fun. I want you to be funny. But then in the same breath, he said, but you have to remember, this is a toast, not a roast. And in one fell swoop, there went all my material. I've literally, what else is there, Dan, other than roasting you? But I told him, I promised him that tonight would be a fitting celebration of him. He gets a little nervous. There's really only one thing he's more nervous about than Robert with a microphone, and that's Robert with a microphone after a few drinks. So Robert's had a few, Dan. So fasten your seatbelts, and here we go. But this is a good night for him. He's actually, so I met a few new people tonight, and they didn't know me, and both of them asked if I was Dan's son. And I told Dan that might make its way into the remarks because that's kind of juicy. I like that. So I'm not, although I look it, and I know he looks a lot older than I do, I'm actually his brother, one of his brothers. So in any way, Dan, tonight's your night. And I just want to say, let's get this started in a way that fits him. So, sensitive, warm, empathetic, emotionally giving, enjoys sharing and discussing feelings, a soft, talkative teddy bear. These phrases and descriptions describe someone very special in this room tonight, and that person is sitting right next to Dan. Her name is Stephanie. Yes. Yes, indeed. Everyone is thankful for Stephanie. But seriously, I obviously grew up as Dan's brother, and so I know Dan in a very, very full and complete way, and I like to say that he practices medicine the way he practices life. You all have heard of tough love. I like to call it tough medicine. And now maybe Dan reserves this tough medicine just for family member patients. I don't know. Any patients of, raise your hand if you're a patient of Dan's. All right, yeah, like half the room. So maybe you all have never heard this kind of stuff, but these are the kinds of phrases that family members are more used to hearing from Dr. Dan. Well, are you bleeding? Don't be a wimp, it's not broken. What did you do a dumb thing like that for? You're old, can't do that anymore. It's not broken or bleeding, so it can't hurt that bad. And my favorite, I can make it hurt a whole lot worse if you want me to. And I will say on a personal note, one additional thing that I heard was, how on earth did you get tick bites down there? That's a story for another day, right, Dan? But anyway, the list goes on, and I'm sure that anybody that knows Dan probably has experienced some of his tough medicine. So I've got to get back to the real stuff, right? So in all seriousness, Dan, I am very honored to participate in this fitting tribute to you, and I thank you for asking me to be part of it. At this stage of the night, again, as my role of MC, I'm supposed to keep the time and make sure things run smoothly. So it's the time when I have to introduce the family members of Dan that are here tonight to support him. And because my only role is really that of gatekeeper, as soon as I get done introducing all of his family members, you all can leave because it'll probably be 9 o'clock at that point. So I'm gonna have to go fast. Actually, I have 2 minutes. So at Dan's table, we have Dan and his lovely wife, Stephanie. And three of his 4 kids are here. Sally and her husband, Scott. Daniel and his wife, Natalie. And over here at table 6 is Stuart. His fiancée could not make it tonight. Sitting in for his fiancee is Chase. Yep. And we have just Dan's siblings. So all 6 of us kids. Steve mentioned I'm the 4th. Mom and Dad had 6, and all 6 of us are here tonight. So I'll go oldest to youngest. Bill, stand up. Bill? Mary from Florida. She flew in from Florida. I'm obviously Robert, my little brother Kenneth, and his wife Deanne, and Carrie, and her husband Ben. Bill's wife is Valerie, and she's here as well. And my wife is Cindy in the red and black. Yeah. So we have a lot of other friends. We've got cousins that are in from, okay. So, yeah. So I might want to introduce my mother as well. She's kind of responsible for all 6 of us. And without her, really, we wouldn't be here tonight. So she's also representing, thank you. Yeah. She's also representing a past recipient of this honor, J.B. Robinson. Yeah. And we have cousins in from Florida, in from Michigan, in from California, just a whole bunch of family and extended friends and family. So, Dan, it's going to be a good night. I think that we're going to start releasing some tables for dinner. And the dinner is, okay, so the lovely lady over by the door raising her hand, that's where the food will be. I am going to now introduce the preacher for our invocation, and he's also going to talk later, Tom Franklin. If you can make your way up.
I'm so happy to be here, and that I've been invited, and that Dan considers me a friend, that I can be a part of this celebration. Let's pray together. Ask God to be with us. Dear Father, thank you that you've given us this occasion and reminded us in your word how healthy it is for all of us to give thanks, to look around and see people that are so meaningful to us. They've served us. And Dan is certainly one of them. And so we look outside ourselves and see those that have poured into us and been a blessing to us. And I thank you for this service organization that is doing this honor and that have had many recipients and have recognized those that have served. So we pray you be with us and bless our fellowship. Wonderful time together with many friends. And you've given us all these good things. And we thank you for the meal also and the health you give us. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, if you can please join me and stand, and we will say the Pledge of Allegiance. And the flag is right here. I pledge allegiance to the flag All right, thank you. So let's get to the tables. Dan, I think, maybe your table gets to go first tonight. But before we do, yes? Okay. So she's going to release the tables after Dan's, but before we do, I just want to give a quick thanks to our presenting sponsor, Paradigm Concrete Design. And Dan, again, take a look around while you're standing up. If you had any doubt as to what kind of support, what kind of love you have in the community for you and what you're all doing, this is a testament to it. On pages 3 through 7 of your program, in addition to the presenting sponsor, there are 25 gold sponsors, 5 blue sponsors, and 21 friends. It's just so awesome. Actually, we had so many sponsors, we were breaking them up as I'll introduce them in 3 groups, and the first group is, I'll go now. Alphabetically, it's Axiom Financial Strategies Group, Alice J. Schleicher, Inc., Baptist Health System, Bennett and Bennett Insurance, and Mathis Pharmacy, Dr. Mark and Bobby Bickers, Caesars Foundation of Floyd County, Concierge Care of Southern Indiana, Edward Jones Investments, Greg Nash, and First Harrison Bank. Let's give a big round of applause for our first set of gold sponsors. So officially, Dan, your table can go, and then the hostess will release the rest of the tables. Enjoy your dinner. We will be back shortly after you start eating. Thanks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I want to move this along to the next stage. Feel free again to continue enjoying dinner. No rush, obviously. We've got cheesecake for dessert back in the corner, and coffee, and all kinds of good things to eat and drink. So continue to enjoy. At this stage, I wanted to introduce some of Dan and Steph's grandchildren who are here to support Grandpa. So we have Mackenzie over at, raise your hand, yep. All right, and we've got Nora, raise your hand. Winnie, Ellie Mae. Hi. Yeah, I said your name. Rush, there he is. And Haley. Hi. So they're here to support Grandma and Grandpa too. Round of applause, yes. So I hope you are enjoying dinner. As with every time I've ever been to any event at Huber's, they always do a fantastic job. The food is great, the service is great, and so we are very appreciative of everybody here at Huber's and the staff for working so hard. Round of applause, yes. At this stage, I would also like to now introduce the second group of gold sponsors, and they include Floyd Memorial Foundation, Huber's Orchard and Winery, Indiana University Southeast, Libs Paving Company, News and Tribune, Kelly and Matthew Oakley, PC Home Center, and Paula Robinson. A round of applause for the second group. Thank you. All right. So is everybody having a good time tonight? All right. Dan, you doing okay? So far, he says. He still looks a little nervous. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's at this stage of the proceedings that we really get to the heart of the matter. And so while you're enjoying dinner, it's going to be important to focus your attention on the speakers, because they are here to do what I'm not doing, and that is give a real tribute to Dan. And so can everyone hear me? I want to make sure we get this started off right. Can we hear? All right. So our first toaster tonight is Rodney Scott. Rodney L. Scott was one of the founding partners at the law firm of Waters, Tyler, Hoffman, and Scott, LLC. That's a mouthful, Rodney. In New Albany, Indiana, where he still focuses his efforts as a trial advocate for insurance companies, their insureds, medical providers, and other self-insured entities in commercial, malpractice, and injury-related litigation. He is currently in his 33rd year of practice, during which he has tried personal injury cases involving traumatic brain injuries, wrongful deaths, burns, permanent and catastrophic physical injuries, and amputations. And that, my friends, is just the things he did to opposing counsel. He's a tough nut to crack, Rodney. So, yes, our honoree tonight has been in Rodney's life since about 1996, when Stephanie started teaching Rodney's daughters not to squeak on the violin. And their kids started carpooling to and from what was then Northside Christian Academy. If he's not in the office, then he can be found with his lovely wife, Lisa, traveling, preferably by Harley, or playing pickleball, preferably in Florida. So he's handsome and smart. So please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Rodney Scott to the podium. Do you want it here or do you want it up here?
Up there's fine. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Rotary. Thank you, Dan, for inviting me to participate in this. As all of you know him as Dr. Dan, that's largely because he does put service above self and contributions to his community as a really important aspect of his life. As you heard, I had the pleasure and unique privilege of knowing Dan for about 25 years in a ton of different roles. The first one started because Stephanie was teaching our 4-year-old how to learn about Suzuki. I thought that was about motorcycles, so I was all in. Then it turned out that it was violin, and you do not want to hear a 4-year-old practice a violin, or a 6-year-old, or anywhere else. But then I met Dan at the very first recital. Since then, we have figured out that we have a whole lot of the same interests and afflictions, including apologetics, cars, politics, skiing, boating, pretty much a lot of things that we have shared over the years. So I am afflicted with a few stories that I might have to tell, although I thought Robert was going to use them all up before I could get going. Anyway, just so you know, I've got to know him in a lot of different roles. The very first role I had with him was he was my physician. I knew he clearly had a gift for healing. That was very quickly what was clear. What I did not know that he was also had the gift of touch. I didn't know that until I was 50 on my first physical exam, and he asked me to bend over. Then I got to know him more as a friend. Certainly, one of those stories I've always heard, Dan is an avid boater, and he's phenomenal with a boat. But one of those events that he swears is the only time he's ever made a mistake on a boat. I happen to be with him. So we are boating in the intercoastal near Savannah, Georgia, when we are going down an inlet, and all of a sudden, apparently the tide was out. When the boat came to a screeching halt on a sandbar. Stuart and Jacob and Daniel, we all got out, tried to move this boat off of the sandbar. That was not possible in any way. So we had to sit there and play cards until the tide came back into the inlet. So that was a very unique circumstance. He swears that's the only time that's ever happened. And then cards. How many of you are in our euchre club? It's been going on almost 12, 15 years, something crazy like that. And if it can be played with 52 cards, Dan is all in. If you know that, if you've ever played cards with him, you know that is not where he is about service in any respect. I've known him obviously as a brother in Christ, and his attention to apologetics and his interest in church and religion, and certainly we've had a lot of great conversations about that. Also know him as a competitor, pickleball, tennis, snow skiing, doesn't matter what it is. There has got to be a way to win, and you will. Dan is very good at that. A collaborator. We taught a financial peace class with Dave Ramsey years ago. Saw Dan work with all kinds of people in that scenario. The weirdest of scenarios was watching him as a construction supervisor and worker. Literally got invited to come over to the house because he was building a 2-story garage. This is when he lived on Buffalo Trace. And this garage was being built on the edge of the knob, literally. The back of the garage backed up to the cliff face. And Dan Eichenberger and Stuart Eldridge and Steve Karam, and there were doctors everywhere climbing around the trusses trying to put this barn together. I never understood why anybody would be up there, let alone somebody who was in Dan's position with a little bit to lose. Very young kids at the time, so certainly seen that. I've seen him as an expert witness during these trials that we've been involved in. He's worked for us. I've seen him as a client, first when he was Physician Associates of Floyd's Knobs, table 15 here. Then when he was with the hospital, and I've seen him as a negotiator. And I think this is one of those scenarios that many of you may not have complete insight into, but between Dr. Dan and Jerry Miles, I have never seen two nastier, meaner, more precocious negotiators who did everything they could for the county throughout the negotiations with Baptist Health Floyd, or Baptist Health Care Systems at the time, before there was a Baptist Health Floyd, clearly putting the community ahead of his personal needs, because as you know, he later became the president of Baptist Health Floyd. What a tough position to be, talking to your potential employer and asking them to make all kinds of concessions and to agree with you on so much things. But what I really know about Dan is his real love language. If you're familiar with the Gary Chapman book on the 5 love languages, then you could certainly apply this to Dan. Much to Stephanie's chagrin, it's not gifts, receiving or giving. It's not quality time that's important to him. It's definitely not words of affirmation, as Robert's already detailed. He will tell you that he and I have not always agreed, and we've had some very frank conversations, but he still asked me here, so I'm comfortable that he doesn't need my affirmation. I don't think it's physical touch, even after that over 50 experience. It is clearly and completely acts of service. Service for everybody in his orbit, in my experience, and there are a lot of people in that orbit, including my partner, Scott Tyler, and his family. I've seen him up close go the extra mile for this community. I've seen him up close go the extra mile for the hospital, for the employees, even when it wasn't in his best interest, for me and for my family and for many of you here. So congratulations, Dan, on a well-deserved honor. I'm proud to call you the honorarian for 2021. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rodney. It's now time to introduce our second toaster, Dr. Mark Bickers. Yes, round of applause. Dr. Bickers has practiced internal medicine and cardiology in New Albany and Southern Indiana since 1985. He is from a family of 6 physicians and is now very excited about joining Dr. Dan in a new concierge internal medicine practice at the start of next year in Floyd Knobs. What Dan doesn't know is that it's only recently that he decided to join Dr. Dan. He originally had planned on just opening a practice with his rest of his family, and not to be outdone by Rodney's law firm name, he was going to be called Bickers, 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 and Bickers. But thankfully, he found Dr. Dan somehow, and you know, sorry to the other Bickers, they lost out somehow. Dr. Bickers is most proud of and inspired by his wife of 38 years, Bobby Bickers. And Bobby has blessed him with 4 wonderful children and 9, soon to be 10, grandchildren. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Mark Bickers.
13 pages, so I need to get this out. I was timing Rodney, and he did not go much over 5. But thank you, Robert, and thank you, New Albany Rotary Club, for asking me to participate in this year's Rotary Toast and Benefit Banquet honoring Dr. Dan Eichenberger. I need to make 2 short disclaimers. First, I agreed to do this over a year ago, and frankly, I've lost sight whether this was to be a toast or a roast. Sorry, Dan. But admittedly, it's much easier to talk about your accomplishments than your rare faux pas and gaffes. Not Biden-type gaffes, but just, you know. Second, I was not aware I would be sharing this microphone with such a talented group like Robert and Rodney, who make a living presenting their cases before judge and jury. And then there's Tom Franklin, who speaks from the pulpit with divine inspiration from God. And of course, there's the lovely and talented daughter Sally, who's not only brilliant but beautiful. And then you got me. Irrespective, I am truly honored to speak publicly with absolute sincerity and respect for my good friend and close colleague, Dr. Dan Eichenberger. I suspect many of you are well aware of Dr. Dan's considerable achievements from MD to MBA to CIO, then CMO, and eventually CEO and president of our local county hospital, which he has transformed to a regional healthcare center of excellence. While Dan has a number of impressive titles for which he has received much recognition, I feel certain that the titles that mean the most to him are Christ follower, devout husband, and loving father and grandfather. To me personally, the next highest accolade is simply that of friend. True friend. Not just the kind you like to go to dinner or on vacation with, but the kind you can depend on when life gets difficult and you feel backed against the wall. I know this. I have been there. And Dan has been there for me and many of you. As a medical professional, Dan is a consummate physician. He is, after all, the doctor's doctor. I know this. He's my doctor. And he is the doctor of choice of many of the physicians in this region. It is truly a privilege and an honor to be a physician. It is a special honor when one of your own colleagues calls you at time of need to the bedside when they are sick. Dan is a special physician because he does the right thing every time, all the time, when it needs to be done. Naturally, he is very bright, very well trained. He did 2 internships and 2 residencies simultaneously, allowing him to become board certified in both adult internal medicine as well as pediatrics, and enabling him to manage complex illnesses in patients from the crib to the grave. And of course, he's incredibly hardworking, just one of his Trump traits. These people just have boundless energy and don't seem to need to sleep much. I recently asked Dan why are you doing all these moonlighting gigs from Michigan to Florida? He's recently in Mishawaka and so forth. He answered simply, well, Mark, I like to work and I like to practice medicine. Yeah, sure you do. Classic Dan. Brief, direct, to the point. With this guy, it's black and white. They're just gray almost doesn't exist. One of my former cardiology partner, a brilliant and talented cardiologist in his own right, recently pointed out to me and young Daniel, where are you, Daniel? He's trying to help me learn how to turn on a computer. But Dr. Raza explained to Daniel and I that, you know, your dad has this amazing ability to analyze data and information and problem solve, come up with an answer. Indeed, he can analyze information fast. Dan likes things that go fast. Computers, cars, boats, horses, skiing, and playing hands of euchre. Fast, Bobby, not slow. Even more amazing to me than his work ethic and boundless energy is his time management skill. That's crazy, isn't it? That's, it's hard to believe. What Dan can accomplish in a short period of time is extraordinary. How he can get done all that he does and still have time for Stephanie and being home, travel, hunting, boating, hiking, rim to rim, and Grand Canyon, not that good of an idea. And even doing a 100-mile trail ride with me and my brother this past summer. Yet, he still manages to take valuable time with his 4 fabulous children and their families, which now include 13 grandchildren, all of whom are taught to know Jesus and make God as their moral compass. Now, while Dan is truly talented and dedicated and yada, 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 nothing makes me think he would have come close to this list of accomplishments without his wife and soulmate, Stephanie. And we all thank you. I now see Dan as particularly well suited for his next venture, back to private practice as a concierge physician. This will allow him to again be in charge of his own practice, and Dan likes to be in charge. More importantly, to practice medicine the way it should be, the way you as a patient want it to be. Highest quality, anytime access with a physician that you know and trust. This is simply not available, not practical, not possible in today's corporate-mediated, insurance-mandated, those are 2 things Dan likes to hear, healthcare system. In closing, Dr. Dan is truly deserving of the Rotary's Man of the Year recognition as he continues to exemplify your motto of service above self while constantly keeping his focus on the great healer and physician. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bickers. All right. So at this point, we get to the 3rd set of gold sponsors. And I hope you've been paying attention to the screens on both sides with a lot of pictures. Most of the really cute little boys in those photos were me and not Dan. Any of the handsome ones were probably, again, me. but also the sponsors are up there as well. So our third grouping starts in alphabetical order with Phyllis Robinson family. Thank you, Mom. How's that? Sam Tech, Sayers Classical Academy, Susan Schulte, Schuler Bauer Real Estate Services, Under Production Multimedia, and they are providing the sound and production for tonight, so thank you to them. Waters, Tyler, Hoffman, and Scott Law Firm, and West Banco. So a round of applause for our gold sponsors. All right, so now we have a very special presentation, and this is the Governor's Award, and I would like to introduce Ed Clear. Representative Ed Clear has served District 72, Floyd counties, in the House of Representatives since 2008. Ed is a real estate broker and joins us at this time for a special presentation. Welcome to the podium, Representative Ed Clear.
Thank you, Robert. Good evening. I look forward to this event every year, and I was really looking forward to it this year. I think many of us were after taking a year off, so it's good to see everybody again. And thanks so much to the new Albany Rotary Club for making all of this possible. As always, I'm grateful and humbled to have the privilege of playing a role in recognizing a distinguished member of our community. This year, of course, was a little different because it was more drawn out. Roger Whaley called me last year and said, "Can you secure an award from the governor?" And then, of course, later he said, "Put that on hold," and we'll hopefully be doing that next year. But when he called me originally and told me who the honoree was, and he said, "Can you secure an award from the governor?" I said, "Of course, I would be happy to." But then after we got off the phone, knowing Dan the way I do, I thought, uh-oh, which governor? DeSantis? Abbott? Nome? No, Governor Holcomb. Well, all kidding aside, I had to give Dan a hard time, and that's all of the ribbing I will do tonight, but I couldn't resist, Dan. I hope you don't mind. It is truly a privilege to help honor you here this evening. Dan is my friend. He is a friend to everyone in this room, and he is a friend to our entire community. From orderly to president and CEO, as I was preparing for this evening, I was looking back through some articles and other materials about Dan from over the years, and I read the article in the News and Tribune from 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago this week, when Dan stepped down from his role, his last role of many at the hospital. And I thought that a couple of the anecdotes in this newspaper article provided an excellent glimpse of what Dr. Dan is all about. As hospital employees and volunteers gathered to celebrate Eichenberger's decades of service, among them was Lisa Schutman, Director of Hospitality Services, who has been with the hospital for 12 years. Part of Schutman's duties include overseeing environmental services, a position previously filled by Eichenberger on his journey through the ranks. Remember, he started as an orderly. "It's inspiring," Schutman said of his rise. "It inspires us all to dream big and to never settle. Dr. Eichenberger did it. My employees coming in at entry level see that. There are bigger opportunities." During her time at the hospital, Schutman said several improvements have been made, with a high patient satisfaction rate being achieved. When she took over her current position 5 years ago, Eichenberger came in and told his story to the staff at the department's first meeting. "He's very real and he's genuine," Schutman said. "He cares about each and every associate here and every patient. His heart has been at this hospital. Under his leadership as president, he's helped us become the strong organization that we are. Dr. Eichenberger has helped to make all of this happen. Without him, we wouldn't have the capital to make these improvements and to move us forward to where we need to be. A second anecdote from that same story. James Gunn has been a chaplain at the hospital for roughly 3 years now, tending to the spiritual well-being of patients and employees alike. Seeing how Eichenberger handles himself at the hospital has been a model for young professionals like Gunn. One of the things that I've witnessed from him is that he wants us to be excellent in what we do, but he also wants to bring humanity to the people that we care for at the hospital, Gunn said. It's not to see them as a room number, but to see them as an individual with faith and values. That's what he tried to instill in us. Those were his colleagues at the hospital who knew him probably as well as anyone outside of his family and close friends. And those are the stories that they shared with the newspaper when he stepped down. Modeling service over self, Dan Eichenberger is, in fact, a distinguished Hoosier, exemplifying the qualities on which the award is based. Now, this is the award, but Dan, I'm not going to ask you to come up and take it because, like your career, this award is unfinished. It has no frame, and that's not because the Rotary Club is skimping on the frame. It's because of the supply chain. Your frame is on a container ship off the coast of Los Angeles. So tonight you get to look at the award, and later it will be framed. I'm going to set it on the It'll look even better the next time you see it. Dan, thank you for your service to our community, your service above self, your friendship to so many, and best wishes as you begin your next chapter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative Clear. I personally like to hold it. I'm in a band, so sorry. We are doing great. It's 8:02. I'm 3 minutes ahead. Yeah. I won't. All right. So the next speaker is Tom Franklin, and it's my pleasure to introduce him. Tom is a retired pastor of Northside Christian Church in New Albany, but also current president of New Life Christian Missions, serving India and Nepal. Tom has been in ministry for 50 years, and he has been married for 53 years to Charlotte Barrett Franklin, and together have 3 sons and 7 grandchildren. Our honoree, Dr. Dan, was his neighbor for several years before Dan moved to the high-rent district. Yeah. Dan has been Tom's doctor and trusted advisor in many matters. As teaching pastor at Northside, he had the honor of utilizing Dan as a teacher of apologetics courses in elective classes. In addition, Dan's wife, Stephanie, took a trip to India with the Franklins as a teacher. Stephanie, by all accounts, was excellent. And according to Tom, she was also a gracious loser in a few hands of euchre, which I find ironic because in their euchre club, I hear Stephanie beats Dan all the time. And the great part about that is I have the microphone, and he's probably just dying to correct me because we all know he's very competitive at euchre. But according to me right now, Stephanie, you're the champ. So in any event, I welcome to the stage Tom Franklin. Round of applause, please.
Hearing all these wonderful things about Dan, and they're all true. Boatman, many skills, euchre, and so forth. But I noticed one was left out, rightly so, because when the hospital would have a golf scramble, and So he would ask me to find some guys to play, but Dan would play golf with us, and we'll just leave it at that, okay? But Dan's a great guy. He really was a great neighbor, friend, just so many things I could say about. I don't have the same relationship, like as intimate as Rodney's, or anything like that. But some of you have known Dan for a long time, but I appreciate all the things that were said and have been said. It's been very enjoyable. Dan has a great asset in his wife, Stephanie, as also has been said. And she went to India with us on one of our trips, and she taught what was referred to a minute ago, I think by Rodney, the 5 love languages. And I asked her what Dan's love language was, and I thought, I just took a guess at it, that maybe it was words of affirmation or appreciation. So so I thought to myself, isn't it ironic that we're here to give him affirmation, isn't it? I would sit down sometimes, Dan and Stephanie would do things for the mission, or us personally, we write a thank you note, and I thought to myself, this is really a waste of time, but I really need to do it, But it's not going to matter much to him. But I know he's going to be a gentleman tonight and act like he's enjoying all this. But Stephanie, Dan and Stephanie met. You may not know this, but Dan and Stephanie met. They're just a couple hicks from up here in Floyd Knobs. They're just country people. And there was some kind of a fair. I don't know what it was, strawberry festival, pickle festival. Stephanie, you worked on a pickle farm or something, didn't you? Wasn't it? Yeah. So they're going to this, she probably didn't want that known, but Dan's going to this festival here, and he runs into Stephanie, and he says, do you know where, the festival's at? She says, yes, I know where it's at. You go up here a mile, and you turn left, and but there's a shortcut through the woods here, and I could take you and show you, but you'd try to kiss me. Dan's got a pig under one arm, a chicken under the other arm, and a basket on his head, and he said, how can I kiss you? She said, well, you can put that chicken on the ground, put the basket on top of it, and I could hold that little old pig. But they're made for each other. They're if you might want to notice this, but if they stand next to each other, Dan's knock-kneed, and Stephanie is bow-legged, and they spell the word ox. So they're symbiotic, they're made for each other. The thing about Dan, that if you could cut him open, to use a medical metaphor, and you got right down into the DNA, you would find his passion is, and it's been alluded to throughout the speakers, his passion is truth. I mean, he is passionate about truth. I've been with him a couple times with a patient where, as already said, tough medicine. And I hadn't heard that expression before, but Dan is that. And not that he has bad bedside manner, because he does have that, but I would just... Right, Rodney? So, but he does tell the truth, and it kind of makes those of us that are timid about speaking the truth sometimes a little uncomfortable. And he would tell the family, this is it. Or I've had other family members, Dan, tell me, and when you're brought up in conversation, that how you were so honest with them about what needed to be done regarding a family member. So Dan is, he just loves truth. He just cuts right to the chase. And when I was at Northside, as in charge of the teaching ministry, I'd asked Dan to teach on apologetics, which is a sweet spot for him. And man, he was so prepared. He would have syllabuses that were that thick. I mean, they couldn't digest them in the time that they were in the class. But he had everything ready, and he was excellent. He loved it. In fact, on one occasion, Dan was invited to speak at a church on apologetics. And as I said, he's very passionate about it. And so there was like a seminar, and there were other people that were supposed to speak, certain time limits, on them. But Dan got up there and started speaking, and he went on and on and on and on. And people were getting embarrassed and a little restless about the whole thing. And finally, there was a guy in the front row that couldn't take it anymore and took a songbook and threw it at him. And it missed him. And it hit a man on the stage, one of the moderators, hit him in the head and knocked him out. And but Dan kept going. He just kept speaking. It didn't seem to matter that this guy was knocked out. Well, there's others back there attending to this man and trying to get him to come to. And finally, they got him to come to enough to where he said something. He said, "Hit me again, I can still hear him." So, you get in a conversation with Dan and his passion, you're going to listen, Now, I don't know Dan like Rodney and Dr. Bickers, and so I had to make stuff up, What to do. But I do want to say in all seriousness that with truth being his sweet spot, Jesus was talking to Pilate, and he wasn't answering him much. And in the conversation, the word truth came up. And Pilate, as a politician, cynically said, as probably most politicians, except for Mr. Clare, I'm sure, Pilate said, "What is truth?" And Pilate was a politician, and he was serving in a big government, and I think for him it was a fair question. But Jesus' answer was classic. He said, "Those who love the truth hear my voice." And Dan hears the voice of God. That's the one special, a lot of special things we could say about him, but Dan is guided by the Word of God. He's guided by truth. And thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you very much, Tom. Very nice. He's nicer than I am. It is now time. Who's having a good time tonight? Yeah. Give yourselves a round of applause. The food's great. The dinner, everything's really nice. Our fourth speaker tonight is Dan's daughter, Sally Carpenter. Sally is a Floyd County native, the third of four, and the only girl born to Dr. Dan and Stephanie. She attended Northside Christian Academy in her elementary years and finished junior and senior high homeschooling through the Sayers Classical Academy program. She completed her BA in English Literature with a minor in philosophy at IUS. She has been married to Scott Carpenter for 10 years, who is a design engineer at Brindley Hardy. See, I was nice. I wasn't going to say anything, Scott. Yep, that's nice. Yep. The two of them have three very beautiful daughters, all of whom are here, and we introduced them earlier. And they enjoy boating, movies, and the outdoors. Sally has been a Suzuki-trained violinist since the age of 4. She has been involved in drama programs, worked as a paralegal at Rodney's firm, and is currently homeschooling 2 of her 3 daughters while working part-time as a music tutor at the Sayers Classical Academy. She serves in the early childhood program at Southeast Christian Church and loves volunteering with the children. She also loves her mom and dad very much. So much so that she and Scott recently kicked them out of their high-rent district home, and they now moved in, kicked mom and dad to the basement, I understand. They give them some food sometimes in the basement. Allegedly, they're building a house, although I don't even think they've met with a contractor yet. And so, Dan and Steph just, you might want to get on to them. It's not really going to happen in a long time. So anyway, that's Sally and Scott, and I think it was mostly Scott's idea. So please give a big round of applause to Sally Carpenter.
I'm a holder. Well, good evening, everyone. It is such an honor to be here tonight. And as many of you heard, I am Sally Carpenter, and I am Dr. Eichenberger's wild card. Daughter. Don't worry, Dad, I won't embarrass you too much. Seriously, though, thank you guys for coming out and helping to support my dad in this. It's so nice to see everyone here, and it's kind of crazy to be in such a big room with so many people that we know. Growing up with a doctor as a dad came with certain perks, like 24-hour medical attention if needed, and getting to race wheelchairs in his office after hours. A while back, drug reps used to be able to bring in swag from their companies, and I can tell you we had a pretty impressive collection of ink pens. Just saying. Not to mention the purple Nexium pill thermos that I used to take to school for lunch. It was pretty cool. There was also the perk of him being board certified in both internal and pediatric medicine. He's been my go-to guy since literally I was born. He delivered me after all. To then becoming an adult, and then he took care of my children, one of which is making a big scene right now. It was special having a doctor dad, and I'm always going to be thankful that you were mine. There were some drawbacks, though, to having a doctor dad, such as we were not allowed to be scared of getting shots. And we couldn't play hooky because, well, he always knew when we were sick, so, that was off the table, too. There were little excuses for tears, but lots of support when there were. So now, Dad, this is one of those rare occasions where I get to tell you, you got to sit still and don't cry. I was excited to be the one to get to brag on my dad and talk about how great he is. He has supported me all of my life and has given me countless opportunities to become a well-rounded adult. He's the best dad I could have ever hoped for, and I feel blessed to be his only and favorite daughter. I'm just kidding. Mom and Dad were always there for my siblings and I. They were an amazing parent team, and rarely not on the same page with each other. In fact, this made it difficult when I would go and ask if I could go do something. Dad would say, well, what did Mom say? And Mom would say, go ask Dad. They made decisions together, and now as an adult and a parent, I see now why that's so important. All of you probably know my dad as a successful type of person. He's highly motivated, intelligent, not easily overcome by obstacles, and extremely hardworking. Fewer of you know him as a friend, somebody who would give you the shirt off of his back. It's just stuff he'd say, I can't take it with me. A small number of you know him as a relative, somebody who values his family relationships and is loyal. And I know him as Dad, someone who balanced an incredible amount of pressure while still showing up for my siblings and I. Many of you know that Dad started out as an orderly in the hospital. Sometimes I wonder if he roamed around the offices scoping out his future CEO room in between cleaning vomit and running errands. Hard work has never scared him. And as you all know, he's very good at getting things done. He's a true example of what it means to persevere in the pursuit of a dream. It was honestly hard to narrow which aspects of my dad that I should toast. After all, he's got a resume that could fill up the front and back of legal-size paper. Nonetheless, the scope of this award was to commemorate his involvement in the community. So first, I'd like to speak towards his passion towards patient care. While I believe that God created my dad to be smart, driven, hardworking, and talented, I also believe that Dad chooses to use those abilities to truly bless and support those who come across his path. He isn't the type of person to sugarcoat a problem, and he won't let you rationalize behaviors that need to be changed. But he is the type of person to tell you the truth and to help you figure out the next right step. For many, including myself, he's one of those people that ground you. And as his daughter, he's grounded me in more ways than just one. Next, I'd like to highlight my dad's lifelong interest in serving the needs of others. He doesn't hesitate to lend a helping hand if he knows that somebody is in need. He always seems to know how to help when I've got a problem. And he doesn't talk about himself very much, but if you really get to know him, you'll find that he is a wealth of information because of all the different things that he's done in his life. To give you some perspective on this, he can do anything from juggling to water skiing in and out of a ski course. He knows how to say the Peter Piper tongue twister really fast, and he can predict endings to movies that he's never seen. If he's going snow skiing, he's going to stick mainly to the Black Diamonds or the double Black Diamond mogul courses. He's hiked the Grand Canyon, and he's scuba dived with sharks. You get the picture. I'm so proud of you, Dad. Not just because you get a lot of awards or that a lot of people know your name. It's not because you have a lot of big titles or lots of fun things. I'm proud of you because you stand up for what's good. You use your talents to the glory of God, and you never take the easy way out. You're a dedicated family member, a dedicated friend, and a dedicated doctor. You're great because you believe in what is good and you keep going, even when it's hard. I love you so much, and it makes a ton of sense to me why you would get this award. Sorry. Of all the achievements that my dad has made in his life, the one regret that he had was that he did not get to achieve his Eagle Scout Award when he was in the Boy Scouts. Tonight's special for me, not only because I get to brag on my dad, but Dad, I also get to honor you with this James E. West Fellowship Award from the Boy Scouts. It's for your unrelenting service and dedication to your community. James West fought hard to earn his degree, and he used it to bless other people and to support them. West eventually went on to serve 32 years as the executive of the Boy Scouts, even though he said he'd only be there 6 months. I really believe that it's a testimony that using your talents fully has great meaning and value. So, Dad, if you'll join me on stage with Mom, I'd like to give you this award. I don't know if I'm supposed to put that on here. Okay, so if everyone would raise a glass, I'd like to toast my dad and to say a big congratulations and best of luck in your new concierge business. Go make medicine great again. Cheers.
Great job, Sally. All right. Wow. Really no way to top that other than Roger Whaley. So that's all I can think of, right? Now for a special presentation from the Rotary Club of New Albany, please welcome Roger Whaley and Rotary District 6580 Assistant Governor Scott Payton.
Thank you, Robert. That's yours. Oh. That and there it is. Good evening. As you've already heard, Thank you. See, every time I get to the microphone, I say, "Good evening, Rotarians," and they say, "See, it works every time." I'm past president of the New Albany Rotary Club and the current chairman of the local Rotary Foundation. We've introduced Scott Payton, the assistant district governor for the southern half of the state. And Dan, I'd like you to come on back up. Paul Harris was one of the founding members of Rotary International, and the honor of a Paul Harris Fellow was established by Rotary International in 1957. The Paul Harris Fellow encourages and shows appreciation for substantial contributions to the work of the Rotary International Foundation. The foundation is a nonprofit corporation that supports the efforts of Rotary International to achieve world understanding and peace through its international humanitarian, educational, and cultural program. The Paul Harris Fellow is a recognition that acknowledges individuals who have substantial contributions made in their name to the Rotary Foundation. At this time, I'd like to invite all of the Paul Harris Fellows in the room this evening to stand. And there ought to be a bunch of them. There you go. Thank you. The foundation transforms financial support into projects that change lives both close to home and around the world through improving health, providing quality education, improving the environment, and alleviating poverty. A major emphasis currently is the eradication of polio worldwide, a campaign to provide clean water and an effort to provide a healthy environment for women and children. Through the immunization efforts of Rotary, I'm pleased to announce that there's only been 2 instances of the wild polio virus worldwide in the last month. Dan, thank you. Dan, this club has made a substantial donation to the Rotary Foundation in your name, and I'd like Scott to present you with a pin and a medallion indicating you are now a Paul Harris Fellow. You're back there somewhere. I lost Robert. Where is he? Oh, wake up. It's your turn.
You had 6 more minutes. Sorry. Congratulations, Dan. Thank you, Roger, as always. So hearing what Tom said and what others have said, and given that I have a few minutes to cover, it does remind me of a quote from my favorite president, and one that I know Dan likes to quote as well, Ronald Reagan. He said, "Many a man has failed who had a wishbone where his backbone should have been." And I think we can all attest to what we've heard tonight, that Dan is not in that situation. He does have a backbone. He does like to speak the truth, and so it's a testament to you, Dan. At this point, I would like to invite Carrie Steemler, our 2019 Community Toast honoree, to come to the stage and present our official Community Toast. Carrie? Good to see you, bud.
Hello, everyone. I get to continue what Sally started. exciting part of the evening, the drinking game. But I have to make sure I stay on script with Rotary because I may sound like another club. So please raise your glass to a toast to a great community leader who is a model of servant leadership, who takes the motto, service above self, to heart. To our distinguished 2021 Rotary Community Toast honoree, Dr. Dan Eichenberger. Congratulations, Dan. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Carrie. Well, this has been a really honor for me. I'm not often serious, but now I am. It's an honor, Dan. Thank you. No, in all seriousness, it's been a great evening, and we're honoring a person who really deserves this, and it's a fitting tribute to you. So I'm happy to be part of it. It's at this point that I think is the time you've all waited for, the time we want to hear from the honoree, that big, lovable, warm, caring, compassionate, emotionally stable and supportive, talkative husband to Stephanie Eichenberger. If you give me a round of applause, and let's have Dan come up and address us. You can hold it.
Thank you all so much. Well, if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm not a words of encouragement kind of guy. So I am truly humbled and honored by this recognition from the Rotary Club. After listening to my daughter, my best friends, and my minister, believe it or not, I am left struggling for words to sufficiently return the love and respect I received tonight. Those closest to me know that I'd rather be doing something for people rather than receiving accolades for my work or accomplishments. And by nature, as you've heard, I view life pretty much in black and white, and grays don't really matter. I confidently and quickly make decisions, even if it involves conflict. And although this decisiveness and ability to make decisions for complex situations is a strength in certain areas of my life, it is also a huge weakness in others. By God's grace and wisdom, He provided me with my assistance for this weakness. God brought to me my life partner, who is my spouse and best friend, Stephanie. She helps me. She deserves that more than you know. She helps me slow down and balance my decisiveness and thoughtfulness. And although I still struggle, she has taught me more than I could ever have imagined. None of my accomplishments would have been possible without God's direction, provisions, and Stephanie's unconditional love and support through life's challenges and opportunities. She is my number one earthly blessing. The Rotary Club original two mottos were, number one, he profits most who serves best. And number two, service above self, which is what they've carried on. As Rodney, I think, said before, Gary Chapman defined the 5 love languages, and one of the 5 love languages is acts of service. This is my primary love language, and as an acts of service guy, this award has special meaning, and I'm truly honored. As I reflect on this award, as well as my life, I'm truly awed by the blessings, the opportunities, and the privileges afforded me throughout my life. When you look at my life as a whole, you realize quickly there had to be divine providence, a plan outside of this earthly world. God blessed me at birth with the privilege of being born into a 2-parent, God-loving, and centered family in the best country on earth, the United States. Even when my dad died at age 54, God later blessed us with a second dad, J.B. Robinson, who many of you knew and who was also a recipient of this award. Having the blessing and privilege of a wonderful mother, Mom, and two wonderful dads is beyond anything you could hope for. Then God blessed me with my spouse, my partner, my best friend, Stephanie. And as they say, and you've heard, I married way above my pay grade. Stephanie was a new registered nurse, and I was a lowly orderly, finishing his second year of college with little means of support when we married at barely 20 years of age. We grew up together. We managed the rest of college, medical school, and residency training with little income, lots of debt, and 4 kids struggling paycheck to paycheck. I've also been blessed with a career at Floyd Memorial, now Baptist Health Floyd, starting at age 15 in environmental services, making $2.65 an hour, and working 41 years to become a physician and CEO of the hospital. I had the privilege of owning and being partner in Physician Associates of Floyd Knobs, working and taking care of patients and families for the last 25 plus years, and working with the greatest staff and partners you could ask for. Stephanie and I, through the ups and downs of life, trusted each other, we trusted God, and we trusted our abilities as a team. God also blessed us with our kids and grandkids and their families, many of which are here tonight. Daniel, where's Daniel? Daniel, my oldest, is a Marine veteran of the Iraq conflict and now the IT director of my brother Robert's law firm. He is here with his beautiful wife, Natalie, and their 2 kids, my grandkids, Rush and Haley. My second son, Jacob, his wife, and 5 kids are unable to attend. He is a physician in Augusta, Georgia. My daughter, Sally, who you heard from earlier tonight, is here with her husband. And my adorable granddaughters, Nora, Winnie, and Ellie Mae. And my youngest son, Stuart, sitting over here, is an Air Force Academy graduate and pilot flying C-17s and the Twin Otters for the Air Force. His fiancée, Cindy, couldn't attend tonight because of work commitments in Colorado. And God also blessed us with what we call our bonus family. Holly, where's Holly? And my lovely granddaughter, Mackenzie, who is a senior in high school, are here tonight, and her dad and 2 sisters, Lila and Emmy, unfortunately came down with an illness. We're unable to attend tonight because of work and the illness. So we appreciate them coming down. Stephanie and I are thankful to God for giving us the privilege, honor, and responsibility in trusting us with our children, who are all now successful adults, Christian adults, with many accomplishments of their own. And in addition to my immediate family, I have many extended family, siblings, and colleagues who have been integral to my success through the years. Each of you have guided, influenced, held me accountable, and encouraged me, and I am forever grateful. I chose Sayers Classical Academy. Where's Sayers' table? I chose Sayers Classical Academy as my charity. Sayers, like the Rotary Club, believes in service above self. Sayers uniquely focuses on educating students in the classics to deepen their understanding of the world around them and helping them become all they're created to be. They teach based on God-centered truths, and they're educating our future leaders, and I'm proud to support their mission. Thank you, Sayers. So in closing, I'd like to share just one of my favorite quotes from Oscar Wilde. Every saint has a past, every sinner has a future. From this Redeemed Center, I thank each of you for being here, supporting me and the Rotary Club. This award is an honor, and I will be forever grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. I think this evening has shown that Dan is unique on many levels. He possesses an unequaled work ethic and is laser focused on the mission, whatever the mission is. In a world where almost nobody says what they mean and fewer mean what they say, Dan is a voice of honesty, fairness, and reason, and an excellent example of service to others for the betterment of our community. You are indeed an inspiration to us. Tonight, you join the ranks of 26 previous honorees, 8 of whom are with us tonight, and 3 are represented by family members. I'd like to ask all past honorees of the Rotary Toast and those family members to please stand and be recognized for your legacy of service. Thank you all for your service. We are grateful to all of our sponsors, especially our presenting and gold sponsors. In appreciation of this level of generosity, a commemorative bottle of wine is being brought to your table by members of the Rotary Toast Committee. Again, we thank the presenting sponsor, Paradigm Concrete Design. Your generosity in honoring Dan is deeply appreciated. And I would like to take this opportunity, even though it's a bunch, we have 25, and I'm going to name them all again because the gold sponsors really stepped up as well, and they are Axiom Financial Strategies Group, Alice J. Slesher, Inc., Baptist Health System, Bennett & Bennett Insurance and Mathis Pharmacy, Dr. Mark and Bobby Bickers, Floyd Memorial Foundation, Huber's Orchard and Winery, Indiana University Southeast, Libs Paving Company, News and Tribune, Kelly and Matt Oakley, PC Home Center, Paula Robinson, Caesars Foundation of Floyd County, Concierge Care of Southern Indiana, Edward Jones Investments, Greg Nash, First Harrison Bank, Phyllis Robinson Family, Samtech, Sayers Classical Academy, Susan Schulte, Schuler Bauer Real Estate Services, Underproduction Multimedia, Waters, Tyler Hoffman and Scott, and West Banco. Let's give a big round of applause for all the sponsors tonight. Thank you also to the classical choice musicians. I picked Helen because I knew that there was a special connection there. So classical choice musicians for giving us the great music during dinner. To all who have gathered here this evening, thank you for helping us honor this amazing community servant, Dr. Dan Eichenberger. I want to thank you for your support of Rotary and all that we do to make a difference in our community. I ask the family members of Dan and the Toasters to please stay around for pictures. And at this point, our celebration is complete, but I would like to leave you with a challenge. For the upcoming year, I would ask you to think about how to make an effort, however big or small, whether it's just for one person or a group of people or maybe the community as a whole, to find a way to put service above self. In your program, there are 27 great examples of people from all walks of life who have done so. We are better off for their efforts, and they are too. As Ronald Reagan said, never let the things you can't do stop you from doing the things you can. And as Dr. Seuss said, 2 of my favorites, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So see what you can do next year. Thank you very much. Our celebration is complete. Feel free to stay and have a drink and socialize with each other. The night is still young. It's Friday night, and a lot of good people here, so feel free to stay, but have a safe journey home. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to Huber's and Rotary from the bottom of my heart. There's a lot of work that goes on to put this on, and a lot of Rotary people did a lot of work, so thank you guys for all that, and have a safe trip home.